What's up, world? This is your boy Christian on Christ, Corvettes, and Cars. I'm here to talk about one of the amendments that everybody talks about, thou shalt not kill. But is that the only amendment? Is that really the only amendment? Let's start off with a cold start. Let's see if this baby will work with the trunk up, hood up, I should say. Yeah, it did. Nope, it only beat one time. I guess not. We're gonna check it out. I'm gonna close the hood and do a start. First, I wanna show you some of the things I did on Green Lantern. Some little details on it. I love cars, little stuff to do. I can't afford to do a lot of stuff, but it's a pretty car. Got it at a good price. Just love to do. Here's the cold start. There you go. That's a 2013 RT. I put all the stripes and everything on there. But start off also with a version of John 1:4-11. Everybody knows this one. Beloved is God so loved us. We ought to love one another. We ought to love one another. And if you love one another, a lot of this foolishness would stop. It would stop. It doesn't make any sense. I talked about one of the commandments. Let's look at the other ones, because that's not the only commandment. That's not the only thing that's going to save us. I don't understand why people think that is the only commandment that's going to save us. I believe in, that we shouldn't kill an unborn child. Okay, like thou shalt not murder. That's one of them. But there's so many others that are just important. Just because you do one, that doesn't mean you got a free trip to heaven. What do they say? God shall love, number one, no other gods before me. A lot of people put everything else in front of God. We don't even go to church like we used to. We don't worship God. So you should not make any idols. Number two, a lot of people put other stuff, big houses, big mansions, and there's nothing wrong with having it, because God owns all of it. And he gives us the ability to purchase it. He blesses us every day to move forward. So why shouldn't we be able to obtain these things? But we've also got to thank God each and every day for all the blessings that he done. It says, number three, you should not take my name in vain. That happens a lot too. Keep the Sabbath day holy. I don't think anybody does that anymore, or very little. Honor thy father and thy mother. That's a big one that's not being done these days. Number six, thou shalt not murder. That's what they're talking about. Thou shalt not commit adultery. I'll say over half the people have done that that's been married, probably 3/4. Thou shalt not steal. People steal all the time. They steal even the taxes. A lot of rich don't pay taxes. Why? Because they don't think they need to. That's not stealing from the government. If they're not paying, who has to pay the bill? They talk about the deficit all the time. A lot of times I want to be quiet about this stuff, but I can't, because there's so much foolishness going on in this world. If you truly love each other, we are here to serve. We are here to help, to lift up, to educate. I want to show you, you can have all these things. Now, God talks about there always will be the poor. Well, guess what? I understand that. You give a lift up. Now, if you think someone's taking advantage of you or trying to, you leave them alone. But if you can help them out, you need to do that. Let's go back to number 9. Thou shalt not have false witness against thy neighbor. People do that all the time. Don't even want their neighbor around them, or covet their neighbor, or try to steal their neighbor's wife, or it happens all the time. And of course, 10, thou shalt not covet. So look these things up. If I'm a Christian, I'm about love, because God was love. God said the most important thing is love. So what we've got to do is try to love each other. You ain't got to be all hugged up on each other. You don't have to sit down and break bread with them all the time. But if you can help a neighbor out, you need to do that. If you can show compassion, you should do that all the time, some kind of compassion. Now, there's people that just want to take, and we all know who they are, and you'll just be nice from afar. But we ain't talking about killing somebody. You're talking about if they don't vote for this person, they're not American. They're not a patriot. That's a whole nother lesson in itself, talking about American and a patriot. Because the first true Americans that were here were Indians, were the Native Americans. And most of them got extinct. How did they get extinct? By our so-called American people now. I mean, they just desecrated them. Most of them was wiped out. Now, there are a lot of Native Americans that are around still, but they really don't have nothing. They owned it all. And they were stripped from it. Give them a little bit of land here, there, and that. But that's it. They're one of the most poorest people in the country now, the Native Americans. It's a shame. They don't speak up. But it's a shame. Yeah, we were totally robbed as African Americans. We were raped. We were killed. We were used as slaves. They did everything to us that they magically could. I remember even in the 70s and the 80s, you would walk to school, people would drive by, hey, nigger, how you doing? And laugh and drive off. That was the thing. And they thought that was all right. Oh, he's just messing around. And that's another thing, too, about voting. Voting already started here in North Carolina. Listen, you say it don't matter. Why are they spending so much money on voting? Because it matters. Why are they trying to do the thing? Did you see the thing, the sheriff? I can't remember where it was at. I want to say somewhere here in North Carolina that just got fired. Talking about he wanted to get rid of all the black niggers around here. These are sheriffs. These are elected people. You get these people elected on your behalf, and they want to do this. That means they're not governing nothing correct. Listen, there's a lot of topics to talk about. I say I'm not going to talk about them sometimes, but I got to. I'm a child of God. Everything I've done is obtainable. It takes work. Everybody knows it takes work. What did God talk about? Man don't work, man don't eat. Everything comes from work. You work your harvest to grow up plants. They don't grow by themselves. They do once you do the work. You got to make sure there's no weeds. You got to make sure, you fertilize them, the whole night. But there's work to be made, and then they got to be picked. That's worked. You don't get nothing for free. And if you think you do, you're wrong. All these stuff I've done and many other people before me did work to obtain these things. Some people did not, of course, where they got 40 acres and a mule, but they did start off at work. But everything is obtainable. Listen, love thy neighbor. That's the main thing. Go out and vote. Do the right thing. And try to be kind to one another. That's my truth for this week. Deuces. Love you. Remember to subscribe, share. Peace.